Hello viewers, welcome again to our second tutorial of Core Java. We have seen some topics in Java like history, basics of Java, its advantages and disadvantages, and a simple program in Java in a previous video. Uh, and in the previous video I forgot to tell you about a major topic, that is the difference between Java and C++, as both they are the object oriented programming languages, so they have some differences which make different from the Java and C++. Topics to be covered in this video is Java versus C++, OOPS concept in briefs, data types and variables, and the last is operators. Now the difference between Java and C++. They have some similarities, like they have OOPS concept like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. All the concept of OOPS concepts are available are in Java and in C++. But they have some differences which makes it different from other languages from the C++. Like Java does not have a concept of pointers, templates, unions, operator overloading, etc. But the C++ has. Due to the absence of pointers in Java, it has only call by value, while C++ has both call by value as well as call by reference. Java has a very good feature of automatic garbage collection and no concept of destructor, while C++ has destructor, which is used for explicitly deallocate memory. Now comes multiple inheritance, which is present in C++, but in Java we don't have a multiple inheritance, but we can get a multiple inheritance by using interfaces. We will explain interfaces in future videos. It's a very good concept. Java has Vora, that is write once run anywhere, which I explained in previous video. And while C++ has Voca, which means write once compile anywhere. So that as C++ does not have a platform independency, whereas the Java has platform independency, as explained in previous video. Now we'll see OOPS concept, object oriented programming language, that is concepts in brief. Object, what do you mean by object oriented programming? It basically a technique to design a program using objects and classes. We are not going to talk about objects, classes and their usage. So what is an object? Any entity that has some state and behavior is an object. For example, chair, pen, table, keyboard, etc. They all are the objects. An object is an instance of the class. Now, what is a class? A class is a collection of all objects. For example, if you have a vehicle is a class, and the truck, bus, car, they all are the some object of this class. Next, the concept is inheritance. Inheritance means when one class acquires all the properties and behaviors of parent class. That's known as inheritance. It provides the most concept that is code reusability. Next is polymorphism. Poly means many, morphism means form. As polymorphism is split into two parts, poly and morphism. So now the polymorphism means one task is performed by many ways or many forms, that is known as polymorphism. There are two types of polymorphism, that is a runtime, a method overloading, and compile time method overriding to achieve polymorphism. Next concept is abstraction. Abstraction means hiding internal details and showing functionality is known as abstraction. For example, a phone call, we don't know the internal processing. In Java, we use abstract classes and interfaces to achieve abstraction. Now encapsulation. Encapsulation means wrapping up of data and code together into a single unit is known as encapsulation. As in Java, we use encapsulation by classes. As a class has a data members and a functions, so they all are encapsulated or wrapped into a one class. That's why it's called as a using the function of encapsulation, concept of encapsulation, because all the data members are private here in this. And next is the data type. Because before we proceed toward programming in Java, we need to have some knowledge about data types, variables and operators. But what means the data type is data types provided by programming language are the basic building blocks. We can use them in our programs according to our needs. We have following data types. As in this flowchart, we can see that data type is divided into two parts, that is primitive or non-primitives. Now the primitive ones, they are further divided into the two parts, that one is the Boolean and the numeric. Now what is the Boolean is? The Boolean, in the Boolean data type, we have the two things, that is true or false. I will show you that how we write a Boolean in Java, that is the Boolean. Then there is a variable name that it is always alphabet. We will explain what the variable is equal to its true or false. Either you can use a true or either can false. It take only two values. Next is char, the character. It is represented by char. Now the char has a size of 2 bits. We explained the char has a size of 2 bytes and 16 bit of size. It takes the value from minimum from 0 to 65,000. It takes the alphabetic value. Now we write how to represent a char in Java. Which char, since here is a variable name, it can be any name, is equal to that single quotes, represented in a single quotes, and a. It should be alphabet. Next is numeric is divided into, the next part is integral. Integral has a two part, that is integer and the floating point. Now integer has only real numbers, only has integer values, numbers values. It has byte, short, int, long. The byte has a size of 1 byte and 8 bit, and it takes a minimum value from minus 128 to 127. Its range, it's basically, it gives its range. It's a very less range. Next we come with a short. It has some higher range than the byte, and it has a size is of 2 byte, and its range is from minus 32768 to 32767. So it has a higher range than the byte. Next come is int. Int is integer. It has a size of, as you can see in this, it has a size of 4 byte and a 32 bit, and it has a minimum value, it's very high. Other minimum and maximum value is very high from the previous ones. Now if we have a data which has a very high value, then we can take a long also. So its long is also a data type. For long, it has taken a size of 8 byte, and it has a very large size from minimum to maximum. So we can represent any data in this numerical data in this long. Next is the floating point. The other part of the integral is floating point. Floating point take all the decimal values. The float and the 2 bytes are double. Next, the float. The float has a size of 4 byte, and its minimum value is from 1.4 to minus 4.5, 3.48 plus 38. Its minimum value range, it gives a range. We can use this in this range. Next is the double. Double has a double range of this. Means we can use many forms of range in this. It has a size of 8 byte. In double we have a size of 8 byte. Next there is the float is represented by float f. The f is a variable name. Assignment operator we have used. We are giving 0.f5. Now for float we use f and representing that it is the float value. Next, the variables. What all the variables are? The variable is a storage location that paired with an associated symbolic name and identifier which contains some known or unknown quantity of information referred to as a value. We can use any alphanumeric combinations for the variable name, such as A1, ABC, etc. But we have used the variable name which shows the meaning of its usage. Variable must always begin with alphabet. There are three kinds of variable. As you can see this, the local variable, instance variable, static variable. Now there is an example of explain these variables through this example. What they all are. We have written a class A. The A is the name of the class, and then we have a int data is equals to 5. Int is a data type, integer data type, and data is the variable, and 50 is assigned to the data variable. It's an instance variable. It is declared inside the class and outside the method. That's why it's called as an instance variable. It's also called as a data member of the class. The next one is the static variable. Static variable is declared as static, is called as a static variable. It cannot be local. For static variable we use static before that int m is equal to 100, so it shows that it is a static variable. Next, this is the local variable. Local variable is defined inside the method, as it is int n is equal to 90 is defined inside the method. That's why it's called as a local variable. In static variable, there would only be one copy of each class variable per class regardless of their number of objects. This is a property of the static variable. The local variable, forgot to tell you that local variable works in this scope. For example, that in a function that the scope starts from the first curly braces to the last curly braces. That int n, the n has a scope in between two curly braces only. After that braces, it has no scope. The next one is operators. What do you mean by operators and what all operators are? The operators, the first one is arithmetic operator. Arithmetic operators take a numerical values, either literals or variables, as they operand and return a single numerical values. For example, when we add a 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, so they are the arithmetic operators. Plus we can use plus, multiply, minus, they are arithmetic operators. Then there is a relational operators. Relational operator is a programming language construct or operator that tests or defines some kind of relation between two entities. Logical operators are typically used with Boolean values. Therefore, the logical values, we use the logical operators. The bitwise operators are similar to the logical operator except that they work on a smaller scale in a binary representation of data. The next one is assignment operators are those which assign values from right operand to its left operand. As we have seen in the previous example that int n is equal to 50, that is equal to the 50 value is assigning to the n, that's is equal to is a assignment operator here. Next is the miscellaneous operators. Miscellaneous operators, they are ternary operators. They are also called as a conditional operator. They are represented by a question mark and a colon. We'll explain how to use an instance operation in another. Then there is also an instance of operator, which basically tells about the if it is object of the class or not. They are the operators, arithmetic operators, that plus, minus, they all relation operators, equal to, checking the values, logically value they are correct or not. Then their operator logical, bitwise operators, and bitwise or, bitwise XOR. Then assignment operators are there. For example, I have explained that equal to assignment operator. The shorthand you can use as a shorthand plus. For that, plus is equal to add and assignment operator. For example, we are writing that I plus is equal to 5. Here I a is equals to a plus 5 is same as the same, because the above one is the shortened way of writing this. Similarly, the miscellaneous operator I explained the conditional operators and the instance of operators. Next, there are precedents of Java operators. They have some category, postfix, unary, multivative. So they have the precedents. The first one is postfix, unary. In the same way they will work. Then there are associativity regarding to them. Associativity differ. For example, that a postfix has a left to right associativity, whereas a conditional has a right to left associativity. So each one, every has a different associativity. The summary. We have discussed in this video, we have discussed about differences in Java and C++, which makes Java a better language. And we also got to know about the OOPS concept in Java, as Java is purely based on OOPS concept. We have also learned some data types which are there in Java, the primitive, non-primitives, and we have also seen different types of operators that are used in Java, their precedence, how we use and how their associativity differ. We have also learned about this. For any queries, comment below. See you in next tutorial video. Hope you like it.